All right, hello everyone, and welcome to our final lecture overview for graphics visualization. This is it. This is the chapter where everything we've talked about, all the principles, all the techniques, all the tools, finally clicks into place. We're going to tie it all together.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with a quick look back at our journey. Then we'll dive into the real heart of this chapter, which is building a workflow you can use on any project. We'll see how it all works with some real-world examples, talk about some common pitfalls to avoid, and then wrap it all up with the key takeaways you'll carry with you.
So, first things first, let's just take a moment to recap. To really get where we're going, it's so important to remember the foundation we've already built together.
Remember way back in Chapter 1, we started with the absolute basics, the foundations. Then, we started layering on those crucial design and data principles. From there, we got into the how-to, exploring all those different techniques and the software you need to actually build them. And finally, we brought it to life by making those visuals interactive. You see, each step has built directly on the one before it.
And, if there's one single idea that threads through every single one of those chapters, it's this. We're not just here to make pretty pictures. We're here to become effective communicators. We're learning how to tell true stories with data, and that means being clear, being effective, and most importantly, being honest.
So with that mission in mind, that idea of clear, honest communication, let's talk about the purpose of this final chapter. It's really all about application. It's about turning all that theory into actual practice.
This is where it all comes together. See, making a truly effective visualization isn't about getting one thing right. It's about orchestrating everything at once. You have to genuinely understand the data, you have to apply solid design principles, pick the perfect visualization for the job, know your tools, and, this is so crucial, always design for how the human brain actually sees and processes information. And never forget why we're doing this. We're not just decorating a report. We create visualizations to help people understand complex things, to spot patterns they would have otherwise missed, and ultimately, to make better, more informed decisions. It's really a functional art form where the whole point is clarity and support.
Okay, let's get into the core concept of this chapter. I want to give you a master blueprint, a kind of mental model you can apply to any visualization project you'll ever tackle.
This 5-stage pipeline, this is your blueprint. It always starts with raw and usually messy data. So your first job is to process it. You got to clean it and structure it. Then comes the magic, the critical step of visual encoding, where you translate those numbers into things like shapes and colors. After that, you refine the visual design, making it as clear and readable as possible. But the end goal is always the same, creating something that leads to a genuine insight or an accurate interpretation.
Now let's zoom in a little bit on this idea of visual encoding, because honestly, this is the intellectual heart of this entire process. It's that moment where you decide exactly how you're going to translate abstract numbers into visual properties, like position or size or color, that people can understand almost instantly.
And these are your fundamental tools for that translation job, right? You can map a data value to a position on an X or a Y axis. You can show how big it is with size. You can tell different categories apart with color. We use different shapes for different groups. The choice of which visual element to map to which piece of data is probably one of the most important decisions you'll make in the whole process.
So here's a great way to think about this entire workflow. You're a construction engineer and you are building a bridge. On one side of the canyon, you've got this raw, complex, often really intimidating world of data. On the other side, you have human understanding, your visualization. That's the bridge that connects the two. It's what makes that data accessible, understandable, and ultimately useful.
Okay, so let's move away from the blueprint for a minute and see how these principles are actually being used every single day out in the real world in some really critical fields.
Let's start with business. Dashboards like this are basically the command center for modern companies. They pull in just massive amounts of data, sales figures, supply chain info, customer feedback, and they put it all in one clear view. A manager can just glance at this and immediately see, hey, wait a minute, sales are up in this region, but our customer satisfaction is dropping. What is going on there? It just lets them make smarter decisions faster.
Or think about government and public policy. Here, visualization is absolutely essential for both shaping policy and talking to citizens. A chart showing population growth isn't just a neat graphic. It actually informs huge decisions about where to build schools or hospitals. And I mean, think about the COVID dashboards we were all looking at a few years ago. A perfect example of visualization serving the public good.
And of course, in scientific research, visualization is just fundamental. It's how researchers discover patterns in these enormous data sets. A heat map like this, for example, shows how the internet spread across the globe over 20 years. You can see in a split second which countries were early adopters and which ones are still catching up. It's an incredible tool for both discovery and communication.
Now, becoming a great visualization designer isn't just about knowing what to do. A really huge part of developing your expertise is learning what not to do.
So we need to train our eyes. How do you develop that critical eye to be able to spot a flawed visualization when you see one online or in a report? Well, the key is to have a simple framework to evaluate them.
And this is a fantastic framework. You've got ugly, it just looks bad, maybe the colors are terrible, but you can still kind of figure out the data. Then you have wrong, where the numbers are just incorrect, like a pie chart that adds up to 110%. But the most dangerous category, the one you really need to watch out for, is bad. A bad visualization uses correct data, but the design is actively misleading you or guiding you to the wrong conclusion.
This chart here is a perfect example of a bad design. The numbers, the weekend box office for these 5 movies, are totally accurate, but look at how they're ordered. They're sorted alphabetically by movie title. This totally arbitrary arrangement makes your eyes jump all over the place trying to compare the bars. If they had just sorted it from highest to lowest, the main insight, who won the weekend, would have been obvious in a second. So it's not wrong, but it's really bad communication.
So, as we wrap up not just this overview, but the entire course, let's just boil it all down to the most important lessons I want you to carry forward with you.
Please remember, what you've learned isn't just a technical skill. You are now a communicator. You're a data storyteller. Your work exists right at that cool intersection of data science, graphic design, and psychology. And your job is to create that aha moment for your audience. That instant where raw numbers transform into real human understanding.
Let these 3 questions be your guide, your checklist, for every single project you do from now on. First, really dig into the data and ask, what's the most important story hiding in these numbers? Second, choose your weapon. Which chart type is going to deliver that story with the most impact and clarity? And third, always check your work. Is the final design simple? Is it honest? And is it immediately understandable?
And this is the final thought I really want to leave you with. The skills that you've built in this course are more important now than they have ever been. We live in a world that is just full of noise and data. You now have the power to create clarity. You can help people see complex issues in a new, more informed way. That's a huge skill, and it's a huge responsibility. So go out there and build some amazing bridges to understanding.